Hey guys, so as you could see from my thumbnail, I did find another one of these Cowichan style sweaters. Just wanted to tell you the story real quick. This is a what sold video, but I just wanted to chat about a few things first, but I will try to remember in the description, I'll put a link to just the what sold part of this video if you just want to skip ahead. But anyway, I was planning on putting out a video on Monday, but we didn't have any power, just kind of a random thing just for our area. Our power was out all afternoon. And so I was going to do more of a kind of a mixed Monday musings kind of thing of different things I found and like where I was, how the listing challenge ended up and everything like that. But I'm just going to go ahead and go into my what solds in a few minutes. Just kind of combine these because we've got some, we've got our Flatware Friday video will be coming out on Friday. And then Mr. Pish Posh has made a couple videos or made a video about shipping a couple different things. And I know we have talked about that before. We've promised some more shipping videos. So I think it's almost done being edited and I will try to pop that one out this week as well. So I was just going to kind of kill two birds with one stone with today's what sold video. But the last video where I showed you, or that one video I showed you the wolf sweater, and we talked about Cowichan sweaters. If you guys remember, it's really Cowichan style. I did find the Mary Maxim pattern. It's like the knitwear, the knitting pattern for the wolf sweater. I found an advertisement for it. I'll try to pop that up right here. So that wolf sweater is definitely a Mary Maxim pattern. I was at what's going on with that sweater. It's listed. I do have it listed for $700. I had a sale running through this weekend for 15% off. So that about bumped it down to like $600. It's got a lot of viewers, a lot of watchers. I have been sharing it. You guys knew about it. I shared it on Instagram, things like that. So I know some of the watchers are just people who are curious. I don't have the make offer button on it just yet. I might add that next. I have been communicating with one potential buyer who wanted pictures of the measurements that I've taken. So I did that. We found both of us, like as I'm answering his questions, I found typos. I found like things wrong. And one of those like weird situations where I think I had done a listing and a photo from the previous listing still ended up in this listing. It was really weird. I don't know how that happened. So anyway, we got that all cleared up. And so then he offered me $500. Now I know I said in that first video that I'd be happy with $500. But a lot of you were like, that's super cool. It's super exciting. And I got thinking about the fact that it's just the beginning of sweater season, right? So I don't want to hold on to this too long. But I did tell that buyer, he's like, well, what's your price right now? And I said, there's a coupon right now for $600. He made some comment like he thought maybe eBay was covering that coupon or something. And I'm like, no, the coupon comes out of my, he was hoping I could lower the price and then the coupon would drop it further for him to 500. And I was like, no, but that's the point. Like the coupon comes from me, right? So he was totally understanding. I told him, I said, I will definitely keep you in mind. It hasn't been listed very long. And right now I'm at about 600 is where I want to see, if I can get that price. Now I might end up taking his offer. I do think he is out of the country and I will probably just be shipping it to the eBay International Hub thing that they have there. So I was just kind of curious how that worked. I wanted to do signature confirmation on it. eBay doesn't require signature confirmation until you get to like an item worth $750 or more. I was going to do that anyway. I just don't know if I can do that if it's going to the hub. And all the information I can find online just says that eBay doesn't require it if it's going to their hub. So anyway, I'm not sure how I feel about that, but I know signature confirmations maybe not what it not like as good as it was back in the day as far as proving anything. I don't know. Anyway, so that's where I'm at. I'm kind of sitting on a $500 offer. What do you guys think? Am I dumb to just not like talk to the guy and say, yeah, I'll take it? Or should I give it a little bit longer? Anyway, I don't get any kind of weird, like I'm okay. He's asked some questions, but I don't feel like he's been polite and everything. So I don't know. Sometimes a good buyer is worth more than an extra $50 or $500 or whatever. Anyway, not $500, but you know what I mean. What else did I want to say? Okay, my last Flatware Friday, the first Flatware Friday video that we did, I talked about doing kids flatware, right? Baby kids flatware. And I said I was going to try to get a bunch of that listed and see what happens, but you know, and give you an update before the next Flatware Friday. And I am so behind in that. Our weekend was just insane. So it was busy. Then, like I said, no power on Friday or Monday. So I need to catch up on doing some of that. And I just want to show you this next one I found. So I was at the thrift store and I watched this woman. She kind of went past me and she put this sweater back on the rack. It was like in the jackets. And all I could see was the sleeve. And honestly, black and orange, I saw this. I totally thought it was a jack-o'-lantern. So I was expecting a Halloween sweater, but something didn't look quite right. And it looked homemade, right? And so I was like, well, let me go look and see what is going on with that sweater. So I just was curious. I went over, I looked at it, and I realized that it's a totem pole. And I was like, oh, that's not a jack-o'-lantern. So it's totem pole on each side. This is also a Mary Maxim pattern. I found this pattern. I'll put up a picture here. But if you look on the back, it's got a Native American head. But then at the bottom, it says Flathead. Okay, so that's, you know, the county I live in is Flathead. I'm right near Flathead Lake. It's the Flathead Indians. Anyway, but what was also interesting is the original pattern, you know, it has like the whale, but it would have a whale and a whale over here. But instead, so this is like customized by whoever knitted it. They customized it to say 65 right there on each shoulder, which makes me think of a year, which makes me think of a high school. So this could be like someone who went to Flathead High School, like their mom or grandma made them a sweater for graduation or for that year that they graduated or whatever. But, you know, the ones I saw were not personalized with like the name of anything. So that is kind of interesting, right? I'm like, it's very specific, more specific to our area. So I'm obviously the prices, I'm not going to like be in that $500, $600 range. Go ahead, leave me a comment down below if you have an idea. My thought was to like start at $250. I don't know that I'd get that much because it's kind of specific. But just kind of start there and see where I can go for like where it ends up. But tell me what you think about that. It's a little bit smaller than the other one. And it is, let's see, I paid $5 for it. It was $10 at the thrift store and I got it on half price day. So anyway, I don't know where to put it. I'm going to put it right here. Okay, so I think that's all I had to say. That was just kind of a few little update type things in my reselling world. Hope you guys are having a great beginning of September. And let's switch over to the computer. We'll do our what sold. And we're talking about what sold in August from August 19th through the 25th. Okay, so not the biggest, most exciting week. It was a little bit slow that week, but anyway, we'll start off with eBay. As you can see, we've got some sandals. And I don't know why this happens every week, but I'm not ready to like have my eBay solds on here. Of course, I was just using it to record on my phone the intro to this video. But these were just sandals we picked up at our little local thrift store, the clearance center. I always call it the bins. It's not officially Goodwill bins or anything like that. And they were just in really good shape. The company is Bass. And these were called Sunjans, Margie, whatever. Just in good condition. They went pretty quickly, actually. And they sold, I want to say they were the full price. I'm close. Nope, they're $22. So they, just a couple bucks off on that. So that was good. Next up is something that actually ended up coming back to us. We did have a couple of returns that week. This was a Montana State University satin bomber jacket. We had gotten a message about it was someone wanting to buy it for their fiance by certain dates. We talked about how fast we would ship and everything like that. And they got it, and I think they got it there in time, but they said it didn't fit. So it ended up being a return for doesn't fit. My returns get automatically approved. They had to pay to ship it back to us, and then I refunded them, but I didn't refund their original shipping. And we didn't inspect it super great when we got it back, but it kind of smelled pretty strongly of perfume. So right now it's airing out, and we're going to see what we can do about that. But I don't know what I would have done. If I had noticed it sooner, maybe deducted a little bit just for the extra work, but I don't know. Now this one ended up having a happy ending. This is Rubbermaid bath mat, sold for $20. Some of these can sell for more than that, but this one wasn't as old as some of the ones that are a little bit more desirable. But I think what was good is that it was latex free, something like that. So it sold for $20. Now I did get a message from the buyer a little while later saying, he's like, "Where's my package? It's lost." So I looked at it. The tracking said that it was on its way, but it was arriving late. Now I have had it happen in the past where it said that and it disappeared, it never showed up. And I actually got a defect or a ding on my account because the buyer had actually opened a case, and I was like, well, tracking says it's still coming, so can we give it a little bit more time? Well, the case ran out and I hadn't acted on it. And so eBay stepped in and refunded for them, and that works against you in your account. So this time I was like, I'm going to keep an eye on it. And, I figured I would just tell them if it got to be too long, I would just tell them to open a case and I would just refund them right away. Well, I didn't hear anything. I double checked it. Then it was the holiday weekend. So I just happened to look at it this morning and it said it was out for delivery. So hopefully they are getting that delivered today. This was the item. It's just a little candle holder. I picked it up at an estate sale for a couple bucks or so, but it's by Vogue. I think I've sold these before, at least sold one before I remember it being in a box, but it kind of has that dance kind of look, but the company is just called Vogue, and you put the little taper candles in it. So this was the item that the buyer I told you about the week or so ago. The buyer who bought one of our cameras that we sold as is for parts, before he even got the camera, he came back to our store and he bought this. So I thought that was kind of interesting just because I would have thought, just you never know what people are looking for or what kind of marketing. Maybe eBay sent them an email about other stuff in our shop or something like that, and they bought that. Now this set of flatware is a little bit different. It was just these 3 pieces, and we picked up these 3 pieces at back when we were going to our favorite little honey hole of a estate sale, the one that was ongoing. And I basically just noticed it because it's made in France. French flatware can be sometimes pretty good. And the name is Elaine St. Joannis, made in France. What caught my eye was whenever there's like writing on this part of the fork, it's usually worth taking another look. A lot of French flatware does that. There is some Oneida flatware that kind of does that to kind of give that look of, you know, higher end flatware. But that Oneida flatware is not like worth a ton. But anyway, I saw that it was made in France. It was just these 3 pieces. I think I paid $1 for the 3 pieces. And as you can see, they sold for $49.99. They were a little bit different. There was like there was a set that looked very similar, a pattern that looked very similar, but had a different shape handle. And so I don't think I even identified the exact pattern name to this. You know, there weren't that many examples of this flatware out there. So I wasn't sure how long it would take that somebody would need that specific style. And hopefully they noticed that, but I haven't heard anything yet. Then we have this hat sold for $40. It sold like the same day it got listed. It's a vintage General Motors hat, and for General Motors trucks. So popular topic. It was a patch. We sold it kind of as is, just the fact that I think Mr. Pishposh tried to do some cleaning on it, and it just, you know, it didn't clean perfectly. Like he can sometimes get hats to look really, really good. So he just wanted people to know. But a lot of times these older trucker hats, depending on topic, people don't really care. You know, the condition, it can be a little distressed or a little stained or whatever, and it's fine. It still fits like that aesthetic that they're going for. Here's our other return that we have this week. I was kind of laughing because I was like, you know, the person obviously didn't look past the pictures. These are not the best pictures, and I do want to try to retake the photos when I get the sweater back. They thought it was a dark orange, and I'm sure on their phone, on their computer, whatever, it looks like a dark orange. My other pictures that don't have the background removed, you can, you know, to me, like the coloring is off. I think it's orange. I have to play around with this. I might just have Mr. Pishposh put this on and go outside, and like we'll see what kind of pictures we can get in outside lighting. But you know, if you look at a lot of these pictures, you can see that it's a combo of orange and white thread or yarn. And I mean, to me, nothing really looks like dark orange, but whatever. You know, I could see this first picture making it look darker than it really was. Now, I tried to give the idea, I said, you know, orange sherbet in the title. It's pastel to me, and that suggests pastel. And then I think even in my description, I said the color is hard to capture, but it's orange and white blend. It reminds me of sherbet or a dreamsicle. Anyway, I don't think they read it. I don't think they looked at further pictures. And so they are sending it back because apparently it's a lighter orange than they were expecting. Then we sold this jacket. We actually took an offer for $100. Now, we've talked on this channel a few times about the strategy of starting prices high and then accepting offers lower, and what's the best thing to do, or do you just price kind of more middle, or do you start out low right away just to try to maybe move things faster, or will pricing low then make you end up having to take even lower offers, right? So we did start a little bit higher on this one. The condition was the biggest issue. It's such a cool jacket. We just picked it up at a little local thrift. I don't know, we paid $5 or $10. It was brown lamb leather. It was super soft, and the brand was Diesel, as you can see. And it probably looks better in the pictures than it was, you know, in real life. But, you know, it was really grungy, like up here and everything. You know, someone could take it maybe to a cleaner's and get more of, you know, maybe make it look a little bit better. But it was kind of like a motorcycle moto kind of jacket anyway. So we got a $100 offer, and it was kind of one of those things where you're just like, you know what? Sales are kind of slow. We're having returns. Let's just take $100. So we went ahead and accepted that offer. And that, you know, we looked at comps again once we were, you know, once we got the offer, and 100 was probably right in there as to what we could expect. Now look at this belt I found. I'm going to link my men's belt video at the end of this video. But I know we definitely talked about Filson belts in that video. And I was at Goodwill not that long ago. This actually sold probably overnight. And I just was I picked up a couple belts that day, but this one was super thick and heavy duty, and it was so hard in the Goodwill lighting to read what it said. And then finally, the word Filson popped out, and I'm like, duh, of course. You know, the quality was like really nice. So it sold $48.99, like I said, right away that first night it was listed. Then we sold some flatware. Flatware has been picking up. I keep like, man, I'm kicking myself. I just need more than 24 hours in a day, or I need some energy that matches the amount of hours that I have, and get some flatware going because it is starting to move. The stuff I've been listing has actually been selling, so that's always good because flatware can be a little bit long tail. Robert Welch, these are the oval soup spoons, and they only sold for $18.99. But that's, you know, it's interesting because, oh wait, this ended up getting canceled. I don't know why this is in here, so I must still have these listed. It was canceled. I have a feeling it was canceled immediately, so I have a feeling they thought they were teaspoons and were at a really good price, and so then they read it more and realized that they are not teaspoons. So that's my theory. So never mind about that. This was a toy I picked up at a yard sale like last year. It took a while for us to finally get it listed. Mr. Pitch Posh found it and listed it. But this would have been a really good candidate for a video on eBay. But, you know, I don't know. That's not usually part of our process. But his hat lifts up and you just you pump it and then it spins kind of thing. Anyway, it sold for $20. I only paid like $1.50 at a yard sale. It was vintage Disney. One of our beanies that sold really fast sold for $18.99. Mammoth Mountain, I guess it says California, so it must be a ski mountain up over there. Here is a Shuttle Intrepid rocket boosted glider model rocket. Either this was, I don't know, thrifted or something for us to use with our boys and never did, or this came from, this could have been, I have to remember. I know the last rocket that we talked about when Mr. Pishposh was here came from some garage sale leftovers, so maybe that is where this came from too. I'm not positive. But this sold for $45 was the offer that we took. This was a pair of shoes Mr. Pishposh found. Here's the brand, CUATR, but it's a Travis Matthew brand, the golf polo shirt guy. Anyway, I guess it's his line of shoes, and I have no idea how to pronounce that, but those sold for $35. Next up on eBay, some flatware. Okay, so the next three listings all went to the same person. They bought the oval soup spoons, and they bought the knives, and they bought the forks. And their total was $79.97. And that was basically all the pieces that I had in that pattern. So I had made 3 different listings, and they ended up buying all of it. So I still think they ended up getting 10% off because I do have in my flatware section of my store, I have a buy more than one listing, you get 10%. And I still think I probably made more money this way with things like parted out, rather than if I had just sold it in one big lot, I probably would have listed it for 50 bucks or something like that. The last thing on eBay was a pair of Not Your Daughter's jeans, skinny jeans. These actually sold for $35. I've done okay with Not Your Daughter's jeans if they're new with tags and if they're like a little bit of a larger size, you know, not a 6 or a 4 or something like that. So 35 was pretty good for those. Okay, moving over to Poshmark, the next sales, so it looks like it's about half and half, maybe even a little bit more on my sales on other platforms, all added together compared to eBay. But I've talked about before how we use Vendoo to cross-list our items over to other platforms. And I got an email today, and so I will put a link in the description below that, let me see the email. I'll put my link, but then there's also a coupon code that you can use called Vendoo Money. And you will get 30% off your first month. It's normally 25%. So if you're just like right now on the edge, trying to decide whether you want to use Vendoo or at least try them out or whatever, you'll get 30% off your first month. So that's the deal. And I get a commission for everybody who signs up. So, if that is something you're interested in and you'd like to use my link, that would be awesome. I know some of you have used my link to sign up, and so I do appreciate that so much. And I will move on now to talk about Poshmark. Poshmark, pair of LL Bean boots by, they're women's size. They were women's size 6. They were kind of small. But bean boots, I've sold a few pairs of these in the past. They're kind of a popular style, and they say bean boots right on them, right? So people kind of look for these, and these sold for $65, which was nice. Next up was 2 hats we ended up putting together. I did source them together. They're just kind of lightweight running hats, so $24 for those. Robin Ruth. This was just a souvenir hat for New Orleans, sold for $19. Nice floral. Robin Ruth is like an okay brand. I only would pick it up at like our bins or clearance center. It's basically, I see it fairly often, but for all different places. So they basically kind of cornered the market on a lot of souvenir type things. So you might find a purse that's like for New York or something like that, and her stuff sells okay. I wouldn't pay up for it or anything like that. Next up, I'm sorry, my voice either is going or I'm like got issues going on over here. But another beanie that sold very quickly was this Professional Women's Hockey League beanie that came from our clearance center, and that sold for $20. And another hat, Troll Company, Dirty Hands, Clean Money. I have no idea what that's all about, but it sold for $17. Let's hop over to Depop, where we sold some luggage. This particular piece of luggage is another Hartman. So that was a Hartman, just about the same size, a suede one we sold a few weeks ago. And so I love the fact we sold this on Depop because they do have a 10-pound label that's pretty easy to use. Poshmark only goes up to 5 pounds easily, and then only up to 10 pounds where you have to pay the difference with the upgraded label. But Depop starts off having a label that is good for 10 pounds. So we had a lot of interest in this piece. Hartman can be a good brand, but this ended up, we got an offer for $66. We took it and they paid. So that was nice. Then Depop also had this pair of Born shoes that sold for $25. Again, just like a bins pickup that we had. They, weren't anything super special, but kind of had that like 90s Y2K kind of look to them. A lot of Born shoes actually do. And then the last thing on Depop that week was this pair of BVDs. We picked these up on our road trip at a little thrift store. And it was kind of a pricey little thrift store, if I remember correctly, but it we sold this for $21.30. It's men's briefs, and as you can see, it was made, they're brown because they're made for DSCP, which is the Defense Supply Center in Philadelphia. So it's basically the military clothing center, right? That supplies probably for all different branches of the military. There was a couple packages of these, so we've sold one package, and we still have one listed. I think we paid like $6 for the package, but then, like I said, it sold for $21.30. Vintage undies, especially new in package, you gotta check them. Then over on Ruby Lane, we do not use Vendoo to cross post to Ruby Lane because that's not one of the options, but I have my Ruby Lane sales mixed in here. This and the next item went to the same buyer, so they bought this Demi-Tasse cup and saucer by Lomonosov, which is a Russian company. It was a newer, it wasn't marked USSR, which would tell me it was definitely vintage, but it was, it was marked made in Russia. And, knowing where I had gotten it at the estate I had picked it up at, I knew it wasn't like current, super current, so it could still be 90s, early 2000s and still be considered vintage. And it was Demi-Tasse. It's just little. This pattern is called Cobalt Net, and I've sold it before. And this pattern is super popular. I've sold these, and I've seen other people sell this Lomonosov Cobalt Net stuff pretty easily. And that only took, week, 2 weeks maybe to sell, if that. But they bought that, and they bought these earrings as well that I picked up at a yard sale for, I think, $3. These sold for $46. They were sterling and chrysocolla, and just a really nice, attractive looking set. It was signed. I found the artist and everything like that, but it just needed the right buyer to find them, and otherwise I would have ended up keeping them. Okay, Ruby Lane. Last one on Ruby Lane that week was this brass oval picture. I picked it up at a yard sale. This part, my angle is kind of wonky on this, but as you can see here, I'll get a better picture. When I tried to do it a little bit more straight on, I was getting glare. So I was trying to figure that out, what my main picture was going to be. But it, has this tapestry, this bow up here, and then a tapestry, and then the frame, very like 90s, yeah, 80s, 90s, kind of cottagecore. She's holding a kitty, like you could just leave that picture in it. That sold for $30, and I think I paid $5 for that. Possibly, maybe less, because I also got a bell pull that time, and maybe that's what I'm thinking was $50. Maybe this wasn't even from there. Where did I get this? I think it was a yard sale. Maybe I'm confusing the two. Okay, now Mercari, last week it was Depop. Mercari came out of nowhere this week, and we sold this jacket, this Montana Fighting Bobcats starter jacket, sold for $98 on Mercari and no selling fees. And then we also sold this jacket, Montana State Bobcats, and another satin bomber jacket sold for $72.89. So that has taught us that we can sell some of the local Montana type merchandise that we come across, especially the vintage stuff. And a lot of times the buyers are in different parts of Montana. So easy peasy. This shirt, just a Harley Davidson long sleeve t-shirt. And it was Naples, Florida, from 2004, so $18.75. Nothing super special on there, but at least they moved. These pair of Crocs sold for $22. A lot of Croc sandals can do pretty well, can sell pretty quickly. Pair of Keens. These were kids, youth size 4, but little hiking shoes, and those sold for $21.60. And this Restoration Hardware, $22.50. It was like a tumble up, if you guys know what those are, like a little carafe, and then the glass is like the lid, and you can keep it on your nightstand or whatever for guests or whatever if you just want some water in the middle of the night. But it was in its original Restoration Hardware box, so we picked it up, sold it for $22.50. Now on Etsy, I think all we had were some patterns that sold. This Simplicity, it was actually a crochet pattern, not a sewing pattern, but it was a bikini. It's been listed a long time, and I recently just redid it and reposted it as a fresh listing, so that sold for $12. Sold some fabric I picked up recently at Goodwill. One of those, like, I came home with a bunch of fabric. I said, I promise it won't go in the hoard. I will list it. I listed some of it. $25 for 2 yards of this kind of repro feed sack type fabric. Then this pattern, $14, Vogue Easy Options for some dresses, and a vintage 70s pattern for $14, size 16. So the higher the size in a vintage pattern, the better, because it is going to be more, it's not going to match current day higher sizing. So the higher you can get it, the more likely it'll match somebody's body type today. $14 for that. Okay, so that was it for that week. I just would appreciate it if you guys would leave a comment down below as far as how your week has been going. Kind of what I always ask for you at the end of every What Sold video, and how sales have been going or things you've been finding or whatever. And I will talk to you again soon. Flatware Friday will be coming up in a couple days. And set a notification or whatever if you want to know about when that's coming out. But I will talk to you guys later on, and I hope you have a good rest and good productive rest of the week.